Greetings, Panzer lovers. Today I'm going to be taking a look at the Panzer III-4 medium tank, Tier 5. To get to this tank, you need to go through a couple different ways. Through the Panzer III, the Panzer IIIA, the Panzer IIG, or the VK 3000 or 2001D. I went in through the Panzer III, which is not a terrible little tank. It doesn't have a very good gun, but most Tier 4s don't. So, moving on to this guy, he plays a lot differently than the Panzer IV. He's a lot quicker, turns better, the turret turns faster. It pretty much plays like a scout tank with the same gun as the Panzer IV, but with better sloping armor. And a lot of the modules are completely the same. So if you do the Panzer IV, you will get a lot of the stuff for the Panzer III-4 and vice versa. I think it shares all the same engines, all the same guns, possibly even the same turret. I think so. No, maybe not. Even though it looks pretty much identical. And the tracks you probably have to research as well. So taking a look at this guy, he's got a little bit less than average hit points. Some of the other tanks in this tier, like the Sherman, have 460, and Panzer IV 460. The T-34 has 450, I believe. It doesn't weigh very much. It's only 25 tons, so it is quite. The powder weight ratio is good. It's got a pretty powerful engine for how much it weighs. So the horsepower per ton is 2306, which is not bad considering the Chaffee is like 25, I think, horsepower per ton. So the engine is good. The speed limit, it's not the fastest tank in the world. It's not going to light your face on fire, but it's not bad, and the traverse speed is pretty good as well. It kind of sort of feels like a Cromwell, but not as fast. Like if it could do 65, it would kind of feel like a Cromwell. The one place where this thing pretty much has a leg up on the Panzer IV is in the armor department. I mean, it doesn't have 80 in the front, but it is fairly heavily sloped here, whereas the Panzer IV's armor is pretty much 90 degrees or like 80 degrees. It's got tiniest bit of slope, and then this is sloped here, and then even the lower glacis is a little bit more sloped. When you look at the side of the Panzer IV, it's straight up and down. That is a lot more straight up and down. The only glancing part is here, and you almost never even can see or shoot at that. So I think the armor on this tank is superior. You're probably going to eye bounce more shots in this thing, angling it like so, bouncing off here. There are a few weak points. The turret's not very strong, and it has a huge commander hatch that pops up over the top of any hill before the turret does. Got another weak point here, another weak point there, and this point here is fairly heavily sloped, but it's probably got less armor than here. That's probably a weak spot there. That's a weak spot there. That's a weak spot there. This is a no-hit box. Don't bother shooting at the back of the turret here. And anywhere in the back, that's always going to go in. And anywhere in the sides is fairly weak. There is some decent sloping on the sides, so if you can get it kind of side scrape around a corner, you're going to maybe be able to bounce some shots or have your track seat stuff, which is pretty decent. There's better things to say about the armor and the mobility than there is about the firepower, because you don't get any choice in the guns here. You pretty much get this L43 garbage gun. You want to look at it, you want to upgrade it to the L48 as fast as you can, and that's it. You don't get any other options. You only get this guy, and it fires at about 14 rounds per minute. It's got the same penetration, same damage as all the other German guns, the L48. So 110, 110, 0.39 accuracy. It's better than the Sherman, but not fantastic. It doesn't always penetrate. I would take the Sherman's gun because of the penetration values, even if the accuracy is a little bit worse. And I'm talking about the real gun, not the derp gun. The aiming time is 2.3, which is pretty much on par with everything else, except for maybe the T-34. So the gun is not the strong point of this tank. The gun depression is definitely not the strong point of this tank. You're not going to be poking up over hills and aiming your gun down at any point. You're going to want to use your mobility to get around guys and use diversionary type tactics to make this guy work. Because he's not the best breaching tank, even though it does have sloping armor, stuff does happen to go through it pretty easily because it does only have 60 millimeters of armor. One thing I did say about the turret is that it's not very strong armor-wise, but it turns quite fast. 53 is really quick. You're going to be able to swing this cannon around really, really fast, so you're not going to get carouseled by anything in this guy. One thing where this thing fails hard is in the view range. Everyone is going to see you before you see them, so you're going to have to like breach into their zone, push past where they can already see you. Hopefully you don't get hit, and then come back. Or you can just use it as a flanking tank and use the scout tanks as scout tanks. But this thing can kind of do both. It's kind of like the Cromwell, kind of act as a scout tank and as a medium tank. The signal range is a place where it does shine. 710 is really good for its tier. I haven't done anything too crazy special with this, just rammer, gun length drive for speeding and reload times and aim times. I will usually put on the bino telescope or my toolbox. I'm not going to keep this tank long term, so I wouldn't really chuck too much else on here because it's going to cost me gold to rip it off anyway. So I would just leave it as is and get those other modules depending on how you plan on playing this thing. So my crew is originally from my Panzer IV, but I've kind of decommissioned my Panzer IV and I don't really play it anymore because I find at tier 5, if I want to play a tier 5 tank, I'd rather play my Sherman because it's a lot better, or my T-34. I think the Panzer III-4 is better than the Panzer IV unless you run the derp gun and you're the derpy heat 105 type of person. Then maybe that tank fits your style better. But for me, I would probably take the Panzer III-4 over the Panzer IV. My crew, yeah, as I said, was from the Panzer IV, so they're all about 96%. They had to drop down to 90 when I converted them over to this tank. So I've taken repairs, snapshot, so I can get better shots during the turret rotation, smooth ride, so I can shoot on the move a little bit better, because I happen to do that sometimes in this tank, and situational awareness, so I can see a little bit further. But that was a little bit more from the Panzer IV days, where that tank had 350. And firefighting, because my Panzer IV got lit on fire a lot. So, well, not a lot, but enough that I got firefighting. So that stuff just kind of all carried over from the Panzer IV. And I run just regular modules for this stuff: small repair kit, first aid kit, and fire extinguisher. Because there's nothing worse than burning to death. So to get to the next tank, the VK3001D, you have to unlock the gun. You could not unlock anything else if you didn't want to, and just grind yourself to hell trying to play this tank without the engines and the tracks. But this guy only takes 27,000, 26,800 to unlock. I haven't driven this tank yet. I'm about two or 3 days away from unlocking it, so we'll probably say goodbye to the Panzer III-4 and move on to the VK3001D in my drive to the Leopard 1, which is my coveted tier 10 tank that I would like to have. So I have some replays I'd like to show you, and you can kind of get an idea what this tank is good at and sort of how I played it in a couple games to see if this is the tank for you if you want to go down the scout line. Okay, we're out in Live Oaks here, and I'm just trucking across the field here. My tank is pretty much faster than every other tank here, except for maybe the Stuart, or maybe the AMX. AMX is quite quick. It's like 70, 65, 62, somewhere around there. So, I'm just going to drive along the side here. Destroy all these bums buildings. They're going to be mad when they get home from panhandling downtown. And I'm playing a little bit aggressive here. I'm going to get way back in here, and I pause here to see if anything's coming, and I didn't see anything, so I decided to drive across. eventually. I just wanted my team to catch up a little bit. Oh, and then the T-3045 hit me. And he tagged me. And there's an M4 there, so I just try and get close into the wall here. And he just ignores me and wants to go up against the VK. And he misses because I juke. And it gets a little tense here because I know there's a T-49 there. And I don't want to pull out because this guy can punch through my armor pretty easy. And the T-49 or... Oh, the T-3045 took my VK out, but he created a nice bunker for me, so I can't get shot by the other guy there. So I've kind of got these guys pinned down. That guy can't come through the middle, and the T-49 is going to try and come and get me now. But I shoot him, take a shot, kills my driver, another shot into him, and I just... luckily bounce that shot, and this gun shoots fast enough that I can keep up with the T-49, so I was able to live through that situation and take out 2 of their Tier 5 tanks in a Tier 6 game. So I just kind of waited here just for a little while to see if there was anything going to come out of there, because there was an Su-85. But he did not want to come and play. No spielen for him. Yeah. So at this point here, I'm just being pretty cautious because that VK can kill me in one hit. But I do spot their stupid artillery who decided to jump up on the hill here.
Enemy armor is damaged.
So, time to shoot him.
Enemy armor is destroyed.
Yeah, and even as he was disappearing, I was able to get the shot in there and take him out. So that's pretty good. That's 2 tanks down and almost 700 damage. But I have to be careful because that VK up there, he's probably got the short 88 or the Konish gun, and either one can kill me in one hit now. And I don't think I'm going to be able to bounce too much from that because it has triple the penetration of what my armor has. So I'm just going to slowly work my way up to the front. You can see there's a Hellcat up there, and the Hellcat's very bad news. And I can't seem to get my way around these buildings here to get a shot at him, so I'm going to try and move around to the right. This tank's pretty maneuverable. It's a really nice tank to move in close quarters. It turns quite well. And I probably would have got a shot on that Hellcat, but dagnammit, he died. Alright, so AT-8 M6 and the Panzer III-4 taking on the VK 3601. And the other flank seems to be doing pretty well over there too. We're winning 11-6. So I can see he's aiming at me, so I gotta back up. I'm hoping he'll just focus in on the M6 and I'll be able to take some paw shots at him. But I think he reloads similar speed-wise to me. He took a shot there, but I was like very, very angled. And I want to make sure the M6 doesn't get flanked by this Leopard here.
Enemy armor is hit.
So I put a shot into him once. And he was kind of shooting at me there a little bit.
Enemy armor is destroyed.
So take him out. And the M6's flank is fine now. So I'm going to come out here.
Enemy armor is
Get a really lucky shot into the side. I think it dipped or something. And got a shot in on him there. That's 950 damage. That's not bad. Still just being careful here because I don't feel like dying. Yeah. He was moving there. He probably wouldn't have been able to hit me, but... Alright, so he's done. So I'm going to try and drive to the top of the hill over here. Oh, never mind. Game ended. We won. Okay, here we are in Erlenberg. This is just a standard battle here. So decided that I'm going to drive over to their side because I don't really like getting stuck on our side and having it be a camp off. So move up to the side here, Got a Hellcat and a T-49 who's pretty much just going to suicide himself right here. And get over the top of the hill here, and I can see an M4. And I thought the Hellcat would be able to take out the Type 334 here a little bit better than he did, but I don't think that shot went in, but I was going to take some blind shots here to see if I could get him. And I noticed this guy's aiming at me.
They killed our driver. We're covering his position, but not very well.
As you can see, one of my other games, the driver dies in this tank quite often. You can see where that one shot went through right here. And I bounced another shot there, and I bounced another shot there. So, from range, the armor can actually be pretty bouncy. And then I took one right in the top of the turret there. I don't know how that managed to penetrate. So it's revenge time. It's time for revenge killing. So, just gonna truck over the top of the hill here, see what I can see, and spot a Panzer 34 Brethren. But he's not angled very well. I can shoot down onto him, and that kind of negates any angling armor advantage he has.
Enemy is hit.
But he's able to back out, and I lose track of where he is. But luckily, I spot an Su-85.
Enemy vehicle destroyed.
Now deceased. And that shot ate dirt. And so did that one. And I spotted T1 Heavy sitting out in the middle of the field. And he looked like he was either AFK or very sad. Because his nose was pointing down. He looked sad. So I just pumped shots into where I figured he was still. And when he reappears later, he's only got like 200 or 300 hit points. So some of those shots probably went in. But he wasn't dead at that point, so I guess he maybe started moving. Oh, and there he is. 300 hit points. And I don't know where he's going. Maybe it was a bot that just woke up, or maybe he's a little bit sleepy. Maybe he thought the enemy was on the other side of the map. They're not over here, they're over there.
They're knocked out.
Alright. This 13 looks like they're a bit lazy or stupid. But, I mean, there are tier 6s over there. So I'm just going to drive up and see if I can get a shot on the back of this dude. And I'm aiming, and I maybe should have shot, but someone else pegged him. And over this ridge there's a T-28. And he will die.
Enemy vehicle destroyed.
Those guys are so big you don't even really need to aim. And well, look at that! The artillery's over here. I missed my driving shot, but he misses completely himself.
They're knocked out.
I think he actually shot and hurt himself there, because his life went down, or someone else shot him. The T-34 did, but yeah, his life kind of evaporated there. So I'm pretty sure this game just ended here, because yeah, I wasn't able to get back into the cap. Or maybe I was. No. He got extinguished. So that was a pretty good game for this tank. 5 kills is never bad in any tank, I suppose, but 1,300 damage, bounced a few shots, only had a driver casualty, and a few ding marks on the tank. Here we are on Karelia assault mission. They are assaulting our position. So I'm gonna assault them at one of the choke points near the top of the map. I have a premium T-25 that I thought was gonna come with me, but instead he decided to go camp out in the rocks over there. So I didn't want to get too far ahead and get caught out by myself, because this tank is not it's not a T-29 where I'm gonna sit there and absorb stuff. So, just gonna sit here and peek, see who drives around the corner. Patience is something that you need with this tank, because if I cavalierly just drove up there, I would probably run into a whole bunch of fast mobile tanks because they're mostly mediums. And I missed that clutch shot there. I feel kind of bad. But
Enemy armor is damaged.
I was able to do a shot there. Crap at damage roll though. And then the S-35, the mega tank, tank destroyer tier 5 is pretty damaging. He took him out. So I can see the Locust just going to try and scream by here. But I gotta try and pay attention to what these guys are doing. But turret turns fast, so fuck the Locust. We'll go for the next guy who drives by. Oh, and he will. I know he will. Here we go.
Enemy armor
Yeah.
destroyed.
Yeah, he got dead. The M6, M7 here. I don't know what he was doing.
Got him.
Not paying attention to me, evidently. So the Wolverine, he just took a shot.
Enemy vehicle destroyed.
Sometimes those Wolverines have pretty bouncy armor and it's annoying. Especially with the L-48, because, I don't know, it just doesn't penetrate that tank sometimes. But things are looking good. Got 3 kills and only done 240 damage. I wish every game was like that. So we've killed a bunch of tanks over here. And usually you don't get more than about 4 or 5 at the north or the south. And then there's some guys who like to camp up in the middle. So just going to hang out here for a little bit. Don't see anybody. Sometimes guys like to hide behind those bushes, so you gotta be careful. But it doesn't look like anybody's here. So I'm just gonna check around the corner. Take a wide sweep.
Enemy is
Oh,
hit.
I'm gonna do a T-46. And his turret's turning really
Enemy
slow.
armor is destroyed.
His tank must have been like brand new. And he didn't know where to go, but he shouldn't have gone this way. So we're gonna speed it up again. So downhill this tank can do about 60. Does a pretty good job driving around. And I spot a B1.
Penetration.
And bounced a shot on there, so I'm just angling here.
Enemy armor is hit.
That one bounces.
Penetration. One of our tracks is
That one
damaged.
bounces. Track lead it. Ricocheted on the side. What the hell?
Penetration.
Or shot into him.
They're
All right.
knocked down.
5 down. Not bad. So it's great when you can catch some of these lower tier guys out by themselves. I don't know why they didn't wolf pack it and at least stay together. They would have had a better chance of staying alive, but that didn't happen for them today.
Enemy is hit.
So spot the T-34 here and
They dinged us.
bounce that shot. And I'm just going to keep driving
Enemy
and
armor
shooting
is hit.
because his gun shoots faster than mine.
Enemy armor is damaged.
So now I got my armor front.
Got him.
And he's done. And I didn't take a lick of damage from him. I bounced every single shot, or he missed it all. So that turned out pretty good. You can see all the scrape marks on the front. And their artillery has decided that he's going to drive down there. So no point in going up there. I don't know why he's going up there. We didn't pay attention that the Artie's dead. And yeah, I wasn't able to get back and get a shot on either the Panzer IV or the KB-1, but you can see this tank trucks around pretty good. It's a pretty fast tank. It's not bad. Alright, here we are on South Coast. And we spot
They're knocked down.
Panzer 1C trying to murder our guy, and eventually he just burned, I think, to death there, but We were able to take him out, save our teammate. Well, not quite save him because he was burning. So there's a T1 heavy. Aim down.
We just dinged
I
him.
don't know what that bounced off of. Maybe the top of his turret, maybe one high. So we have a Panzer IV up here. And since he's only doing 115 damage, he's using the same gun I am. And spot a T40. Not paying attention. Oh, I missed that shot. That was not a good shot. But
Enemy armor is hit. Penetration.
gun's pretty accurate, so I'm just going to aim one more time.
Enemy
Went
armor
exactly
is
where I
destroyed.
wanted it to. So just gonna hang out by the husks of these buildings or these dead tanks. But it looks like the T1 heavy nuked anything else that was going through that area there, so pretty much just decided, okay, let's go for it. And me and the T1 heavy just drove through the entire flank here. Dun, 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 dun. Because all their heavier tanks were down all along the other side. And spot the artillery.
Got him.
Bingo bongo. And they're all fairly far away at this point. And the game is pretty even. And they had a lot of their good tanks left, like their Churchills, their Stug, and their Crusader. I mean, Crusader probably the best tier 5 tank in the game. So that game went pretty good. We're going to cap out in about 10 seconds there, and we ended up winning this game because their guys were too slow to get back. So the Panzer III-4. This tank's pretty good. I don't mind it. I would take it over some other tier 5 medium tanks. It's better than the M7 for sure. It is better than the Panzer IV if you like the L48 gun. Well, not like it if you can tolerate it, I suppose. It's probably not as good as the T-34 maybe, or the M4 for sure. But if you play it smart and you angle properly, you can actually bounce quite a lot of shots. Your driver does have a bad tendency to die. He died in 2 of the replays there. But it's not a bad tank. The mobility's good, the top speed's good, maneuverability's good, the turret turns stupidly fast. Like I was able to drive circles around the T-34, which is pretty impressive in itself. And I guess the only downside to this tank is the gun. Like it's not super accurate, it doesn't do a lot of damage, sometimes it doesn't penetrate. The Prem rounds only have like 158 for the penetration on the gold round, so sometimes it has trouble fighting tier 7 tanks, but you can punch holes in the sides of a Tiger pretty easily like anything can. So the armor's good, it slopes well, maneuverability is great, gun is average, but if you don't play it too aggressively and you're able to use the accuracy to your advantage and the rate of fire, the tank's not too bad. Not great, but it looks pretty cool. Actually, I might hold on to it. It looks pretty cool. It's kind of fun to play. I've had some good games in it. I've had some polarizingly bad games in it, but it's a fairly decent performer. So I would probably recommend this tank going down if you're wanting to go down the other VK line, the non-heavy one that leads into the Tiger. These ones lead into the VK 3000 and XXX versions of those tanks, which are all fast. And the next version of this tank gets the L70 gun, which will be interesting. So, it's a Panzer III-4 for you. I hope I helped you make a decision on whether you want to drive this tank or not. If you liked the video, hit the like button and subscribe if you want to see further videos. I will talk to you soon. Keep your armor pointed to the front.